check on the latest with our Blue House correspondent Shin Se-min, who has also been working tirelessly for us at the main press centre there in Dondgaemun Design Plaza. Se-min, we want to know whether you know what time the leaders will be heading over to Baekdusan Mountain.
To answer that question, Mark, yes, the schedule that we were given here at the main press center is that in precisely 40 minutes time, less than 40 minutes time, President Moon will be heading over to the Pyeongyang International Airport, where he will be leaving for a Samjiyon Airport on his way to the great Baekdusan Mountain. But before that, as you have mentioned earlier in the newscast, we might have to cut to a live feed coming in if we are receiving any about where the South Korea's first couple will be receiving a farewell ceremony from the Baekhwawon State Guesthouse, where the first couple have stayed during their trip to Pyeongyang. And just to give you a brief rundown of what we can expect from the North Korean capital this morning, President Moon and the First Lady will be departing for Samjiyon Airport, a military airfield near Baekdusan Mountain at 6:40 this morning, scheduled to be a 1-hour flight. And after landing, they will travel for another hour on land to reach Changunbong Peak on the southern side, where they'll be just 10 minutes out from Baekdusan Mountain's Lake Cheonji, meaning Heaven Lake, a crater lake sitting on the border between North Korea and China. But whether or not the president and the North Korean leader will be able to get to that location largely depends on the weather conditions there. And the mountain and the lake sitting on it is a world-renowned landmark for many hikers, and many South Koreans are hoping one day that they could go trekking to Baekdusan Mountain's Gema Plateau. And if you recall, Mark, President Moon had previously expressed during his meeting with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un back in April during their first encounter at the Inter-Korean border village of Panmunjom, where President Moon had expressed hope that he hopes one day to visit the Mount Baekdu. So clearly, it shows how much of a consideration and care went into today's schedule by the North Korean leader Kim for putting it all together, having these two leaders make it to the Baekdusan Mountain in just a couple of months. Mark?
Yeah, it's going to be quite the photo when we finally get to see it of the two leaders up there on Baekdusan Mountain, enjoying the reinvigorating fresh air and the stunning scenery that must be up there, and pretty much untouched by humans as well, not so much like many mountains here in South Korea, where there are plenty of hikers on the trails. But we have experienced uncertainties happening in the north, and yes, that announcement of them going to the mountain was a big surprise to many. So then, with that added to the schedule, the planned return of President Moon Jae-in back to Seoul looks like it's going to have to be adjusted.
It does, Mark, and we've experienced it for the past couple of days. A lot of the schedules that we've been told prior to the day or the day before have been adjusted multiple times throughout. So we're learning things and the details of the schedule as we go. So even the schedule I told you about this morning is still fluid. But for now, it looks as though the president and his entourage will be heading back home later in the day instead of returning this morning as initially announced before their departure to the North Korean capital a couple days ago. And after having stepped a foot on that mountain this morning, the president and the delegation will be flying from Samjiyon Airport back to the Pyeongyang International Airport, then back home to Seoul Air Base, which looks to be happening later in the afternoon. And already we're seeing some delay in that live feed coming in from that Baekhwawon State Guesthouse, which was initially scheduled to come in at 6 a.m. So that departure time I told you about of 6:40 a.m. might be adjusted in the coming minutes too. Mark?
Well, thank you, Se-min, and once we get live pictures from Pyongyang, we'll be sure to bring it to our viewers. Se-min, wonderful reporting as usual. Thank you, and I'm sure we'll be speaking to you again